let's talk about writing, and Baldur's Gate 3, and cooking. When I post a negative critique of a game people like, I expect pushback. I'm shitting on something people like, I expect them to get upset with that. What I don't like is the fact that these people always seem perplexed as to why my opinion exists in the first place. It's not that they just disagree with me. They don't seem to understand why I even think that way, which means there's a complete failure to communicate here. And that's a problem because I'm trying to communicate. Thinking about it some more, I think that most of these people are ingredients-centric, whereas I am chef-centric. So you're cooking, a meal for your family. You got yourself some farm-fresh eggs, and a steak, and greens, so that you don't die quite as fast. And, a lemon, and paprika, or whatever, right? You got some good ingredients. You want to have good ingredients because that makes the final meal taste better. That's what these people are seeing. They're seeing ingredients that they like. Oh, demons and illithid, I've liked those before. I'm looking forward to having them again. Oh, snarky characters with dark secrets. I've liked those before. I'm looking forward to it happening again. But I'm pointing at the chef. If you serve raw ingredients and call it dinner, it doesn't matter how high quality the ingredients are, you're not really going to, think very highly of it. Let's go and give you some specific examples. Let's do some Baldur's Gate 3 examples, just because it happens to be the topic of the day. I said that the opening was edgelord nonsense, and some people came by to tell me that it's not edgelord nonsense because these monsters are valid D&D monsters. They exist in the monster manual in the way that they're presented, so therefore it's not edgelord nonsense. But I could make D&D valid monsters out of anything. Like, I could make an opening that is 4 straight hours of talking cats, and they're D&D valid lore cats. It's not something where our experience is limited very much. D&D is huge. You can pull any ingredients you want. The fact that they keep pulling edgelord ingredients is on purpose. They've chosen to double down on their edgelord presentation. That's not necessarily bad, but it does have some problems. If we talk about this in, taking our cooking metaphor ever too far, these are both meats. Like, one is beef and one is pork. You can mix meats. In fact, that's a really excellent way to make meatballs. But you don't just throw them both in a pot and hope for the best. You have to know what you're doing in order to form them together in a way where they complement each other. And that is not happening here. When we get into this game, we get some edgy monsters doing body horror, and then we wake up and we got a body horror ship that's made out of flesh, and we got more body horror monsters like a brain dog with legs, and then a lady who wants to kill us because she's evil, but she's also going to be our only ally. How edgy. Oh no, we're being attacked by demons, so it's squids versus demons. Edgy. Yeah, this is all lore valid, but it's all edgelord from start to finish. Just constant edgelord. Desperately trying to be like a 90s comic book. It is really silly. And I understand that a lot of people like these ingredients, and the spectacle is nothing to be sneezed at. It is visually a bit of a treat. But we're not talking about the visual, we're talking about the writing. And this is just an unending parade of boring, repetitive edgelordness. Now, I'm probably not the person that should be talking about this because I don't really like edgelord stuff, but that doesn't mean that I hate all edgelord stuff. If we were going to, we could talk about other edgelord setups that worked fine. For example, Dragon Age, which is also edgelord bullshit. Oh no, you're gonna drink from the cup of blood? It might kill you! Edgelord bullshit. You have to do this to fight the unending horde of devils and demons and darkspawn. Bullshit, right? But this edgelord bullshit gets cooked into a meal. They serve it up in a coherent manner that builds interest and makes us care. We don't have to feel comfortable or happy, but we do have to connect. We have to care. And that's why they set this up, so that we understand what we're going through, the reasons we're going through it, why it matters, why we might want to go through with it, who the other people are that are going through it, and what they think of the situation. We've got friends, we've got enemies, we've got people who feel the same way as us, and people who are on our side but feel differently. The context creates a massive forward motion. We have this edgelord nonsense that is powering a story. It's edgelord because the player is supposed to realize that this is a gritty world that the player character inhabits. On the other hand, we don't get that from Baldur's Gate 3. In fact, we're specifically told we don't inhabit this world. This is a weird one-off kidnapping situation. There's nothing here for us. Now, this is something that really annoys me because Larian in the past has done pretty well at cooking their edgelord bullshit. For example, in one of their earlier games, there is a corpse tree. And so you're going into the village and there's corpses hanging from the tree.
Oh, edgy. The corpses have been there for many days and are beginning to rot.
Very edgy. But this actually connects to the world. It not only tells us about the problems that these people are having, it also tells us more about what we might need to do to solve them, and whether these problems are caused from above or from below or from a biological thing or whatever. We really get a sense of the world and how much these people are suffering and what we might be able to do to solve that. It helps to push our experience forward. It creates a narrative where we have a purpose and we care. And that just doesn't happen in the Baldur's Gate 3 intro, even though it's by the same team. And I think it's because this is all chapter-based and the structure doesn't end up working out very well. And I mean, I know that going around and saying things like, well, you know, if I had written it, it would be so much better, is kind of annoying and obnoxious, and I'm going to do it anyway. Let's talk about some changes we could make, just theoretically, to the Baldur's Gate 3 intro that would allow it to have some sense of forward pressure, some sense that we might care about something. I think that the easiest thing we could do is simply replace the demons with an allied species, like the tieflings. Or maybe even a multi-species mix of attackers. And now I know that in D&D lore, the edgelord squids fight the edgelord demons, but there's no reason that that has to be the specific conflict that we focus on here. I'm pretty sure that the edgelord squids would also get fought by the people of the planets that they happen to be invading. Realms, my bad. Realms they're invading. And having an aligned group boarding the ship and trying to destroy it would naturally create an alliance between us and them. Those are the people that we want to help. But we're on the wrong side. We're not exactly a thrall of the squid folks, but they don't know that, and the squid folks don't know that. So that we're like, the squid folks keep telling us to do things that are fighting against the people that we want to be allied with. The squids are like, go connect the squid fronds so that we can squid the squid. And we're like, I guess we have to, because otherwise this ship will explode and we'll all die. And so we're going over there and we're fixing things up. And then the tiefling leader is like, stop that thrall! That worthless thrall that's going to screw up everything for us. Kill her! Tension. Immediate tension. There is a group of people that we should be allied with, and we can't ally with them. Because we would all die. But they don't know that. And later on, maybe not on the first island, maybe on the second island, you're walking around and, there's the knight that was leading the brigade aboard this ship. And she looks at you, and you look at her, and she's like, you're that thrall that almost screwed everything up. The narrative here is one that rolls forward. we need to have a reason to care, and then we need to have something to fight against. And I'm saying we need. There are several other ways to do it, obviously. In this approach, we have something to care about, something we want to align with that we can't actually align with. And maybe this propagates much, much further. Like maybe we see them fighting on the other side of one of these torn up flesh walls, and we can't get through to help them. But we can see that these are our people fighting against the squid people. Anything that would allow us to care, even slightly, about anything would be a huge help, in my opinion. That's just one possible way to sort of fix this one problem with Baldur's Gate 3. Another major problem with Baldur's Gate 3 is that all of the character introductions are just like, hey, my name is Dave. I'm evil. Fuck you. You want to party up with me? I have a deep, dark secret. They're all like that. And a lot of people have been coming by and saying things like, well, they're going to be good later. That's the setup. Now you know they have a deep, dark secret. Now you know how every single one of them has a deep, dark secret. And that can pay off later. And it's like, no, that's not cooking. That's hucking a lemon at my head and saying, I hope you like lemons, because in 30 hours I'm going to make dinner with this lemon. Whap! Most games of this sort, when they introduce the characters, they use the character introduction to shape the narrative immediately, because the character introduction is when that character has an enormous amount of presence. You're expecting a lot from the new face, so it allows the character to pull the entire narrative in the direction they want to pull it. And you see that repeatedly. Again, if we use Dragon Age as an example, every time a character is introduced, they are immediately a core part of the next chunk of the narrative. They pull the narrative along, and they reshape it in the way that the devs want it to be shaped. But here is dumped on you like a tabletop game. It's like, hey, Doug, have you met Dave, Steve, and Aaron? Yeah, they're the other players. Let's get started. That's not helping to shape the narrative. And yeah, in theory, eventually they might cook some of these ingredients. But the chef hasn't arrived yet, and they're serving the ingredients up cold. I've been snarking on Baldur's Gate 3, and that's mostly because it's what's on my mind, but there are lots of other games that suffer the same problem to some extent. I think it's important that we realize that just because we like an ingredient doesn't mean we're going to like the final meal. And similarly, just because we dislike an ingredient doesn't mean we'll dislike the final meal. I don't like edgelord stuff. I think it's really shallow and lame. But I like Dragon Age. And it was full of edgelord nonsense. I liked it because they can cook. And so can you, if you try. Bye.